Black Clover Chapter 310, the battle of Yuno versus Zenon has reached its climax, and I gotta say that the choreograph and the fighting in this chapter was so perfect. However, we saw a quick flashback in Zenon's past that could change the entirety of Black Clover that deals with the Zogratis siblings. But I think we're all very suspicious on the oldest sibling. However, the fight between Yuno and Zenon is the real highlight for this chapter. So before we get into this review, guys, be sure to subscribe to the channel with notification bells on, and also leave a like on this video. The like goal for last video was over 3,000 likes, and you guys surpassed your limits and we hit 3,000. So let's keep this ball rolling and let's talk about Black Clover Chapter 310, the constancy of right and wrong. Alright, so this chapter picks up where we left off, where we see Yuno and Zenon clashing, with Yuno with his Spirit of Zephyr's sword and Zenon with his Bone Magic sword. And during the sequence of this clash, we see in this chapter that no one was able to overpower the other in that moment. However, Yuno was able to teleport with his star magic, which took Zenon by surprise. This chapter really showcased that Yuno has the speed advantage, and I gotta say that Conjunction is probably my favorite spell from Yuno at the moment with his star magic. Especially with the added effects with the hand signs, I just think it's dope. We then see Yuno showcase a new spell called Star Magic Cortal Vigellum, where he's teleporting from one star to another, whereas one hand is the Spirit of Zephyr's sword and the other hand is the Star Magic Whip weapon, which is insane because he's dual wielding and it looks so awesome. Seeing Yuno with that Star Magic Whip, it did put me in the mind of Patri when he used his Light Magic Whip of Judgment, but I think the way that Yuno executed with his teleportation, it looks a lot better. Zenon then realized that he's getting overwhelmed with power and he needs to take out Yuno fast, and he fuses his spatial magic and also bone magic together and creating a new magic sword, which is called Daneslef. And when I saw this, I got hyped because if you are a fan of Norse mythology, you will know that this is one of the strongest weapons in Norse mythology, a weapon that was held by King Hogni. And the Norse mythology lore behind this weapon is so awesome because Daneslef is a Norse mythology weapon that is actually cursed, and the curse is that when the wielder draws out this weapon, he must behead or kill someone, or the fight will continue day and night. So this lets me know that Tabata definitely does his research on Norse mythology, which is very evident in the series. And this lets the readers know that Zenon is really trying to kill Yuno and he's not putting that weapon down now. But to see a weapon made of bone magic and spatial magic, that is a weird combination. Because the weapon is not only going to cut you, but it's going to erase the part that cut you as well. A very one-shot deadly weapon that Yuno cannot get touched by. Because we see how devastating this weapon is when Zenon starts to use the spell called Heavenly Magic Extinction, where you see that he's doing accurate slashes that is erasing everything that he cuts through with this sword. And this spell was so strong that Yuno, he even admits that this sword is impossible to avoid. He cannot defend against it, which allowed Zenon to erase all of Yuno's stars but one, which Yuno used to escape. But he talks about that he cannot restore his stars right away, which was very smart on Zenon's part, which shows that Zenon's battle IQ is top tier. In the middle of this battle, we then see a quick flashback of Zenon having a conversation with his older brother, and his older brother talks about that the weak will die, it's impossible to protect them. So instead, let's destroy them all at once and be reborn in undying bodies. We have obtained the devil's powers. With our magic, the four of us, the Zogratis siblings can remake humankind. This is something huge. Whatever Tabata is planning on, because there is no reason for him to just show this random flashback in a battle between Yuno versus Zenon is out of context. However, this is extremely huge. Tabata is planning something for these siblings because you see how young they look in this whole situation, this panel, and for Vanica to have blood magic, Dante to have body magic, and for Zenon to have bone magic, what does the other sibling have? Because Zenon, Vanica, and Dante all have the components to create human life, but they're missing something. The brain, the soul, who knows? But this lets me know that Tabata has a huge plan for the Zogratis siblings even after this arc. Because the eldest sibling goes on to explain, let's create a true, peaceful kingdom with true citizens that no longer fears death. And we are seeing in action how this resonates and influences Zenon so much because he always says, all for the benefit of the Spade Kingdom. And I really want to go full in depth into that topic, but we gotta save that for a different video. Now, as Yuno is escaping with his star, he talks about that he needs to finish this with his trump card. And at the same time, when Yuno used Spirit of Boreas, Zenon uses Heavenly Magic Extinction, and they both clash. And they both take damage from this, but the good thing for Zenon on his case is that he was able to destroy Yuno's star once again, which destroyed the opportunity for Yuno to teleport anymore. But I love how Zenon quickly reacted to Spirit of Boreas, because it shows that he knows for a fact that blow is very devastating, what Yuno did to him in previous chapters, and Zenon knew that he cannot let himself get hit by Spirit of Boreas once again. Now, we already know that Zenon is fighting the strongest Yuno yet we've ever seen in this series. However, Yuno gets stronger within this fight by performing Saint Stage. And we get more of an explanation of what Saint Stage is, and it is when the resonance rate between the spirit and their host is near 100%. By continuing on this fight on the verge of death, Yuno was able to unlock Saint Stage. Now, this is a little different in Noelle's situation compared to Yuno, because she was able to be compatible with the water spirit. But when Yuno unlocked his star magic, Belle did say that she feels as though she just met the real Yuno. So maybe because she wasn't able to use Saint Stage with Yuno, it's probably due to the fact that Belle wasn't truly linked to Yuno's soul because he wasn't using his true power. But that's just my theory on it. Now, as Yuno was ready to strike Zenon, he gets caught in Zenon's bone magic using his spatial magic. However, Zenon missed the strike and realized that Yuno's grimoire showed a new star, because Zenon had Yuno and he was going to win. And out of nowhere, we get this cool panel of Yuno teleporting behind Zenon, holding the Spirit of Zephyr, which the Spirit of Zephyr's sword in Saint Stage form is completely different than how he ever used it before. Yuno now has the perfect equalizer to completely destroy a devil's heart. And Yuno finally did his final strike against Zenon, which is called Saint Spirit of Zephyr. And you notice that the Zephyr sword, it changed its form. So my guess is that whenever anyone like Noelle, Yuno, and maybe Figolion someday, whenever they use a spell, when Saint Stage is activated, the spell of the form also changes. And we see Yuno cut right through Zenon, directly hitting the heart. And the chapter ends off saying victory. Now, I love this conclusion fight, but I will say that I am extremely curious of what's going to happen to Zenon, because he sold his soul to Beelzebub for a devil's heart. He gave up his everything. So now that the heart is destroyed, which we will see next chapter if it's completely destroyed, Zenon is done. He is finished, which I don't mind. However, this situation and this quick flashback of Zenon's older brother and the whole Undying Bodies quote, this lets me know that there is something else going on, and I don't think this is the end of the Dark Triad whatsoever. I wouldn't be surprised if the oldest sibling actually show up in this arc or towards the end of it. Because for Tabata to constantly show this man in Zenon's flashback and always covering his face, he's clearly somebody that's going to be important within the story. We know how Tabata do with silhouettes or hiding people's faces. This man clearly isn't dead, and Tabata is definitely planning something. What could that be? Well, if you subscribe to the channel with notification bells on, we can discuss this entire topic in a separate video, right? You guys have an awesome life. Take care of yourselves. Stay blessed, and I'm out.